What is going on today, guys? Alright, to be honest and upfront about this video, this is a completely stolen idea and stolen concept. I was on a live chat with the TheYankeeMarshal the other day, and he told me he was about to make a video based off of one of his subscribers' recommendations. He didn't tell me who it was, but it was a fantastic idea, and I told him, well, I want to make one of those videos too, because it's just a great kind of fun concept, and God knows that nowadays, with everything going on in the world, we can do with some videos that are a little more lighthearted than the typical video. So today, upon this no-name subscriber's recommendation, if you are that subscriber, awesome job, love the idea. We're going to talk about my choices if the zombie apocalypse actually happened. What long gun would I take? What pistol would I take? What bladed weapon would I take? And what melee weapon would I take? If I could only take those four things, what would those four things be? That is the idea behind this video. So let's go ahead and go over to the bench, and I'll show you what I pick. Alright, first up, let's talk about long guns. And when it comes to long guns, the only two really that I think I would choose from if I was going to pick a long gun for the zombie apocalypse are going to be either an AR-15 or a 12-gauge pump-action shotgun. This is a kind of M-forgery that I've had put together for a while. This is a Mossberg 500 Tactical. They both have their merits and their drawbacks. AR-15, for instance, I mean, it's an AR-15. It's probably the most used defensive rifle and military and police use rifle in the United States, and that's where I'm at. So, you know, finding parts, finding magazines, finding the ammo, whether it's 223 or 556, is going to be a lot easier with this than a lot of other rifles out there on the market. Not to mention it is a very good rifle. It's a very good design. It's a solid design, been around for, what are we, 60 years now or more, maybe 70 years, I can't even remember. It was invented in the 1950s. And it just works, and it's reliable, and what more can you ask? As far as 12-gauge shotgun goes, I mean, it's just a pump-action 12-gauge shotgun. It doesn't really get much more bomb-proof than this. And 12-gauge, fantastic round. The thing about the shotgun, of course, is that it's not really good at any one thing outside of maybe like bird hunting, but it's pretty damn good at a whole lot of stuff. Defense, hunting, all kinds of stuff, right? Whether it's zombies, people, these are both good at defense. Obviously, the downsides on this one are going to be capacity and the weight of ammo. These are considerably heavier than 223 or 556, but the other side of that is it's also much easier to reload even by hand a 12-gauge shot shell. Fill it with whatever you want. As long as you've got primer and powders, you can reuse these hulls, and you can make your own ammo much easier with a shotgun than you can with this. And if we're talking zombie apocalypse, well, that's kind of a good quality to have. But if it comes down to it, which one of these do I like better for the zombie apocalypse? I gotta go with the AR. It just makes more sense. The extra capacity that I get with these magazines, and I can have two loaded up like I've got here. That's 60 rounds on me with this package right here. That's something very powerful. I've got a lot more reach and accuracy with this than I have with the shotgun, and then the capacity on top of that, it just makes sense. In the zombie apocalypse, I'm going with an AR-15. Alright, now let's talk about pistols here real quick. These are the 5 that I would choose from. These, I think, are the 5 best pistols that I currently have for something like a zombie apocalypse. We've got a 1911 here. We're talking about a design that is 110 years old now at this point, and it just works. Okay, all steel construction, going to be very hard to screw this gun up. It's going to work for a very long time as long as you keep it oiled up. That's pretty much it. 45 caliber round. You know, things been around so long, it's going to be easier to find magazines. 45 is fairly common here in the United States, so it makes a lot of sense. The only downside to this is going to be weight and capacity. Most of the time, you're only going to get 7 or 8 plus 1 in the chamber with this right here. Then we've got Glock 17. Now, this is my personal Glock 17. This one's got some customizations on it, but let's pretend it doesn't have the stippling and the newer sights and the grip tape and the internal stuff that's been changed out on it. You know, a good Glock 17, you got 17 plus 1 in the chamber. This one has a plus 2 base plate, so I can carry 20 rounds of 9mm in this. 9mm probably the most common round on the face of the planet for handguns, especially here in the United States. It's a good, solid workhorse of a gun. It's not exactly pretty, but it works, and that's kind of what you want. Then we got something like this, just a good old 357 Magnum revolver. Yeah, lower capacity, 6 shots, but you also have opportunity to use 2 different rounds in it. So you can shoot 38 special or 357. That's a great option, and this is an old school design. This thing's probably never going to have a problem. It's going to run for the entirety of the zombie apocalypse, so that's good. Then we got a good old Sig Sauer. This is just the P228 or M11 as it is sometimes known. Military use gun, we've got 15 plus 1 in the chamber, 16 rounds, also 9mm, very common round. A little less capacity than this. This is an aluminum alloy design with the frame, and then of course everything else is steel on the gun, polymer grips, just a good solid gun. It's been in military use for a very, very long time. Then of course we got a Glock 21 45 caliber Glock. This one I believe is 16 plus 1 in the chamber because of the +2 base plates I've got on it. It's got a little stippling done. This is a Gen 2. It's an older one. Got newer sights on there. It's been pimped out a little bit. 45, just like the 1911 here. Great round, fairly common. Which one of these would I pick? For the zombie apocalypse, boring choice, I know, but I'm going with the Glock 17. This Glock 17 has been with me for a long time. With the customizations it's got to it, there's really just not a better choice for me. I've got really good ammo for this. Picking up 9mm is really, really easy. Even in the zombie apocalypse, you're going to find a lot of 9. Also magazines. These magazines are so common, not only in these guns, but in so many other guns out there, whether they're Kel-Tecs and other sub-guns and, you know, AR carbines and all kinds of stuff. It's going to be fairly easy, at least compared to all the rest of these, to find magazines for this thing, and that's definitely a good thing right there. Plus, if you need parts of it, you know, cops carry these guns. You're going to find leftovers at police stations everywhere where you can either pick a whole new gun up or just the parts you need. So definitely going to go with the Glock for my pistol. Alright, and here we go. For bladed weapons, what would I choose? And these are the 4 items that I have that I would choose from. You know, if I had a real katana or something, maybe I'd choose it. But I don't, and this is what I have. And out of everything that I've got, these are the 4 I think that would be best suited for the zombie apocalypse. Here we've got just a good cold steel hatchet. In fact, Rick on The Walking Dead actually carried one of these for a while, which is kind of why I bought it. But it is actually good quality. The handle itself is probably not made out of the best wood. Might need to replace that, but you could do that. But just a good hatchet or something. That's always a good option, right? Then we got this. This is cold steel. I'm a fan of cold steel. This is the Warhead, and I don't even know if they make this anymore, but it's basically designed to be a knife and a spear tip. So you got these notches cut in here. You can actually strap this to the end of a stick or a pole or something and use it as a spear. I will say it will probably make a better spear than a knife, although I have used it on a few occasions as a knife. It does work really well, but the blade itself doesn't have a lot of weight to it. So while it would work, I don't know about going into zombie skulls unless they were pretty old and deteriorated, and then maybe, but definitely would work great as a spear. So maybe a little bit of both, but more or less, that's a spear tip. All right, then we've got this thing right here. I don't even remember what this thing's called. It's a gardening tool. It's basically a short machete with this kind of inverted blade along the inside. It doesn't normally come to a point. It's usually rounded at the end. I actually ground this down. I actually really sharpened the blade so that this would actually work well, and it actually cuts really, really well. It's actually razor sharp right now. You could actually shave with this. As it is now, of course, it would dull out after a while. And of course, this point right here would be really great at getting into a zombie skull. But it's got good weight, like a machete, so it's heavier up here than it is back here. So I think this thing would work pretty well in the zombie apocalypse. I don't know. You guys let me know what you think down in the comments. But yeah, I modified it a little bit, but there you go. Then, of course, we got my K-bar. This is my 1271 K-bar. This is the slightly larger version of their standard K-bar. Plus, it's got some serrations, so it's got the thicker spine right here. And other than that, just a good K-bar. Full tang, got a nice pommel down there. You could beat somebody like that, get them like that, whatever you want to do. It's just a good all-around kind of combat and survival knife. So, if I'm grabbing one of these for the zombie apocalypse, which one am I grabbing? Not going to be the hatchet, just because I don't think it's durable enough. This, great as a spear, but not really good as a knife, and who wants to walk around with a spear all the time? Maybe sometimes, but not all the time. So it comes down to these two, and I love both of them, but ultimately, if I'm going to pick just one for the zombie apocalypse, I really can't beat just a good knife. And this is a great survival slash combat knife right here. It would work really well, not just for zombies, but for all kinds of stuff. Even if you're batoning wood or anything else like that, just using it as a tool, this would work great, and I think this would be much more multi-use than that would. So that's my choice for my bladed weapon. Alright, so here we are, talking about melee weapons, and you notice there are two things that are still on the table from the last round. The machete zombie tool I made and the hatchet, and that's because those would also apply as melee weapons, so they stay on the table. But in addition to that, we have our cold steel. This is a kind of a polymer or nylon bat with a steel rod down the center of it. This is, I think it's called the Brooklyn Crusher or something like that, and it's actually made as a defensive weapon. It's got great weight, it's going to be very, very durable, and it's going to work really, really well. Again, we already talked about the zombie tool, we already talked about the hatchet, so let's talk about this. This, of course, is Lucille. And yes, if you're new to the channel, this is real. This is something I made. I have a video of it on YouTube. I made this about 4 or maybe 5 years ago. This is a real Louisville Slugger, okay, and real barbed wire. Okay, this is real. I have scars on my hands to prove it for when I was making this thing. And this really does work, and this really would hurt, and this really would kill you if the zombie apocalypse ever came. It's one of my most prized possessions because I got to make something that I really like from a TV show, and I thought it was cool. And in fact, this is actually made better than the one on the TV show because the barbed wire is actually wrapped tighter, more in a way you would want it to be wrapped if you were really going to use it, and not that kind of loose wrapping that's on Negan's bat. Yeah, it really is a deadly weapon, and it would really mess somebody's day up if they got hit with that thing, whether they be zombie or whether they be human being. So which one do I pick out of these four? Well, for some of the same reasons, I'm not going to pick the hatchet. I just don't think it's as durable as any of these others here. Also, not going to pick this thing either because I don't think this can compare as a melee weapon to either of these two right here. And when it comes right down to it, believe it or not, I'm going with the Brooklyn Crusher. Because of the fact that this is kind of a nylon polymer blend or whatever it is, and it's got a steel core down the center of it, this is going to hold up and last a whole lot longer than my wooden bat will. That's just the fact. That's just how it is. As much as I love this thing, when it comes down to it, if I have to have one melee weapon out of everything I currently own, it's going to be the cold steel Brooklyn Crusher. So there you go. Alright guys, well there you have it. There is my personal zombie loadout. We got one long gun right here, AR-15, one pistol right here, Glock 17, one bladed weapon, a good 1271 K-bar knife, and one melee weapon, the cold steel Brooklyn Crusher. That is my four for the zombie apocalypse. Hope you enjoyed it. You got any questions, comments, anything like that, leave that stuff down below, and we will talk to you guys later. Deuces.